Welcome back. If you haven't been watching episode 27 of Zoo Nation, you need to go to part 1, which is also on our YouTube channel. We're going to continue talking about 2024. We talked most recently about Anheuser-Busch and what the comments that Trump made. Now, I want to get your thoughts. So, we're going to kind of go into a certain order. So, real quick with the debates. What were your thoughts, just generally speaking, about the Republican debates for 2024?
They sucked.
You think so?
Yes and no. I mean, Chris Christie's an idiot. You know, when he was there, we all know that. Nikki Haley's talking out her butt. Doesn't believe half the stuff she's saying, really. Ron DeSantis, I mean, he lacks charisma. The DeSantis we're getting now in Florida is the DeSantis that we needed during those debates. Vivek, he's just a Trump fanboy in my opinion. There's too many questions about him, and also especially are you really what you're talking about, or are you just talking because you know it sounds good? You know it's basically what Trump said, and you're a good talker type thing. I think that the best debate we got, in my personal opinion, was DeSantis versus Newsom. Just because I think that you really got to see at least this side. I wish there would be more debates like that.
Sure.
Like Democrat versus Republican, just naturally, just natural debates, just so you get to see what we'll call it hard left and hard right look like, and yeah, where you really stand or where you don't stand or where you are like, kind of,
yeah,
and just to see the comparisons of like the countries, the states, and how they're ran and what the difference really is there. That was probably the best debate. The only thing I will say, Chris Christie, I agree, Trump should have appeared at some of those debates, especially with what he's done with Anheuser and stuff like that. You kind of are losing your chance. You lost your chances to defend yourself on some things, or clarify some things. So I don't know. I think those debates kind of hurt Trump to an extent, but clearly not enough. But I don't know. The debates wise, I mean, again, I like what DeSantis said and stuff like that, but I've always been for DeSantis and or Trump, as far as those things go. But the other guys, I mean, they just shouldn't be up there. They're not going to win, you know. So I mean, they weren't beneficial. It was just, Chris Christie going at Vivek and trash talking him, or Nikki Haley trash talking Vivek. Vivek going back at them. I mean, wasn't a lot of productive stuff going on, except for, DeSantis, he had some actual plan to an extent given out. Most of them, in my opinion, not really. Vivek, to an extent, did. I'll give him some credit.
I have a different perspective. I think that probably, okay, let me think about this. The first one was just okay.
Yeah.
The best things that I really liked were the disagreements between Vivek and Pence. That was good. And then as the debates went on longer, Vivek versus Haley, and then eventually DeSantis versus Haley got stronger and stronger and stronger. Like, for example, DeSantis revealing the Chinese corruption money that's going into Haley's pockets and her corruption under Boeing, and Vivek brought that up too. That's on balance a very good thing. Now, if you want to talk about that as a character assassination rather than a policy debate, I'm likely to agree with you, but it does matter. It reveals that she's a corrupt military-industrial complex candidate, and if you want a deep state candidate, you got her. Her name's Nikki Haley. The line about he actually said Dick Cheney in 2-inch heels was really funny. There were times where it was a funny show, and look, it was more show than substance. That I probably would grant you.
Yeah.
But some of it was substantive. For example, one thing that he said in his first debate was, do you want a politician who's experienced or a patriot who speaks the truth? That really, for the rest of our country's history, is probably going to be the question we have to ask ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Because in 2016, we went with a patriot who spoke the truth. And then in 2024, that's a legitimate question to ask, right? So now, are there authenticity problems with Vivek? Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. And we can go in a little bit into some of that. But real quickly, I think that it's important to ask a few things here. First, when it comes to Christie, I think he will run again and probably, like this cycle, get nothing. Like, just hardly any votes at all. But I just think that he's power hungry to the point where he really is delusional enough to think he's got a shot.
Yeah,
and he's just going to get
the definition of insanity. I mean,
it's just not going to happen. It's the fact that Haley is continuing shows she's out to lunch. I mean, she wants to be humiliated in South Carolina.
In Nevada, she lost to any other.
None of the above.
Yeah, none of these candidates.
Yeah, so Trump won technically, but then second place was none of the above,
right.
And then was Haley, and she's still in somehow. I mean, to me, she has some fantasy that she's going to come to South Carolina and win, and it's like, no, you're going to lose by 30 to 50 points probably, maybe even higher than that. You are going to be just completely butt whipped.
Only thing that concerns me, though, in this is moving to elections, not necessarily just the RNC. Democrats showed up more in Nevada than Republicans. That like in droves, like percentage wise.
Mm-hmm.
Like I forget the stat, but I heard it on Steve Dace on the way here. It's kind of disturbing to an extent because it makes you question if Republicans given up. Or are they just not caring? Because it's like, Trump's going to win anyway as far as the primary. I'll just go out and vote.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, yeah, that is a stat out there for, the stuff going on.
Sure.
It's like, it's a little worrisome.
Yeah.
Possibly, But, no, in South Carolina, yeah, she's going to lose South Carolina.
Yeah, by a lot. So I don't see her as having much of a future. We'll talk about Vivek quickly, then I want to talk about DeSantis versus Newsom and also DeSantis' future and his campaign. So real quick, Vivek, I'm going to be watching because I would like to figure out this guy a little bit more and figure out, okay, are you actually going to, if you stay in politics in some shape or form, what are you going to do?
Right.
Are you going to be in the Trump administration? If you're not, are you going to mount a campaign in 2028? And try really to figure out his moral center. I can't tell this is just a really good politician who has never been a politician before, but some people have the gift. They have the gift of oration, of being a good orator, yes. And how much of it is talking good, and how much of it is he's talking good because he's actually going to deliver well.
Right.
And because sometimes someone that's good at talking is also going to be good at execution.
Oh yeah.
That's the other question. So I'm going to be watching with interest. Like I say, it's hard to figure out if he has an authenticity problem because he's never served in office, so it's kind of hard to figure out.
Well, and also just his religious beliefs and him talking.
That's a big problem too.
However, I will say the one thing on that, he's Hindu, but there is a branch of Hinduism that is monotheistic. So now again, I haven't dove deep into what branch of Hinduism he even believes in, et cetera, et cetera. But, so, if he does fall under that, he's not necessarily, hypocritical or not necessarily, just saying things just to say it, because if he is that branch of Hindu, then, yeah, he theoretically does believe in one
God.
God. Just not, the Christian God, of course, the true God. But yeah, just wanted
That's interesting. I wonder how other Hindus would feel about that branch.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's very fringe, I would think.
Right. Yeah. No. 100%. But again, that could be just to give him benefit of the doubt. That could be because I do know that people had an issue, myself included, had an issue of like, oh yeah, he's talking about God, but he's Hindu, and it's like, well, I'm doing a little deeper research just in Hinduism, just because I wanted to figure out stuff like that.
Sure.
There is a branch out there that is monotheistic in a sense. So,
interesting.
So yeah.
Didn't know that. Well, it'll be, like I say, it'll be interesting to see his future. Back to Haley, I think that she loses South Carolina and she'll have to make a calculation of, do I stay in just to stay in or do I drop out? I think she probably drops out.
No.
You don't think so? So you think she's just going to stay in and stay in and stay in?
I don't like using this word, but she's part of the opposition. I think that she's just there just to, just drag as much away and just spread as much as she can, I guess. I don't know.
I don't
think she drops out.
The logic would be if you make a brand as the girl that ran against Trump, she may be thinking about 2028.
Yeah, I guess.
But to me, she has no shot then either. I mean, if she has no shot now, I don't see her as having a shot in the future either.
Yeah.
So that was just what I would say about that. Now, let's go to DeSantis, because pretty early on, I think you went from being curious about DeSantis to then backing DeSantis versus Trump, to then saying you wanted DeSantis to win, but in the general, you would likely vote Trump. And I want to talk about DeSantis with you. So the DeSantis versus Newsom debate I thought was good, really good, and was very substantive, especially about vaccines. And I thought the line about Gavin Newsom's father-in-law was hilarious and eye-catching.
I found it hilarious when he pulled a Trump as far as pulled out the little map of fecal matter.
Yes,
that was funny.
That was very good,
and that was good.
He also brought out a book that was legal in many states to read to children or to assign to children, which is now illegal in Florida because the rhetoric from the left is, he's banned books, and is like, okay, adults can read what they want to read.
Right.
Children cannot check out from a public school library.
Right. They're banned in schools.
This porn.
Right.
You know, this erotica and porn is what's been banned.
Right.
God bless you. I applaud that wholeheartedly. I think that we need to have, this is what I'm saying about earlier about the states. Where is McMaster on this?
Right.
There's a red governor in Iowa. Where's the red governor in Iowa? Where's Kristi Noem on this? Every red governor, as soon as DeSantis did a heck before, should say, you know what?
Take DeSantis.
What the heck is this doing in our school system? Let's ban this.
Right.
That's what the conservative movement needs is reclaiming our country without fear of saying, you know what? We're not going to allow children to read this. This is ridiculous. There's obscenity laws, and we should have laws for this for our children in school.
Right.
So that to me was one of the biggest wins for DeSantis in that debate. Was he said, I'm not going to, part of this has been blacked out for reasons, and I'm not going to read any of it because it is obscene. By the way, folks, if you want to hear it read, look it up. Senator Kennedy of Louisiana read parts of the book on the Senate floor, and it'll make your blood boil and your skin crawl how pornographic, and it's like reading erotica.
Well, and then
it's horrible.
Then there's another book out there that's also, banned in schools. It's called All Boys Aren't Blue.
Yeah, I believe he read from that one too.
Did he read from that one too? Yeah, that one. I mean, that's straight up basically porn too.
Yeah.
I mean and it's incestuous to boot too. It's
that one is.
I mean, they're all messed up, but I mean it's messed up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we, you and I on this platform, Zoo Nation, support and embrace protecting children's minds and eyes.
Yeah, no question.
Their innocence, right? There's something very important about the adults taking care of the children.
Right.
And that's an aspect of this. And it's not about treating grown adults like they're incapable of making their own decisions. It's about making sure that children can't do this, that these libraries are not able to groom children.
100%.
So that's important. Now, we'll go into DeSantis' future, what you think will happen in the future in a minute. Really quickly, sketch out for me. I want you to talk about his campaign. What did he do right and what did he do wrong? It's a deep question.
He lacked charisma in the sense of just, he was very, he spoke facts, great on him, but just, he's not as enthusiastic, I guess, to an extent. Just very, very dull to an extent. There were moments where for example, the Newsom, if we had the Newsom debate DeSantis that entire time, I think it would be pretty good. But I don't know, I think really the approach for him was just bad. Him as a guy, great. Him as a politician, great. I think, and just his debates, he's great. But just his approach needs to change.
So do you think it was delivery?
Yeah, delivery. Just delivery of it. And for example, I think if you took the delivery of Vivek and put that into DeSantis, you probably have a top-notch guy, delivery-wise. You know, because then you'd have the debate skills of DeSantis and everything like that. I mean, yeah, yeah. I think there was a little too much respect on DeSantis' side for everybody else. I don't think he necessarily, unfortunately, these debates have become attacking everybody instead of actual debates, just attacking people's character, attacking people, I don't think he did enough of that, I guess. Yeah. So
reminded me of something. Made me think what you just said, because you're kind of saying policies are very important to discuss.
Yeah.
Made me think one of the best parts of the debate, let me think. Okay, the first or the second one, I think it was a little bit of both.
Right.
There was an actual substantive Republican debate about abortion.
Right.
Because you had Burgum say, well, it's a state issue, and I think Haley said the same thing. You had DeSantis and Tim Scott and Mike Pence actually say no. Now, especially Tim Scott and Pence both said, no, the federal government needs to protect the right to life. That was substantive. The other thing was, let's see, this was the most recent one. Well, the most recent one where Christie was still there. Then there was one between Haley and DeSantis that I didn't even get a chance to watch because I didn't want to watch it on CNN, Yeah. But the one with Christie still, where Christie said it is okay for parents to consent to transgender surgery for their children. And DeSantis said, no, it's not okay. We are not for that. And then Haley tried to lie and say, oh, I was never for that in South Carolina. And DeSantis said, yes, you were.
Yes, you were.
So that was a substantive, that was, insofar as did he accuse them of being bad? Yeah, but it was because of the policy.
Right.
Of you guys are wrong on policy. Mm-hmm. The government is supposed to protect people from being abused or hurting themselves. It's not okay to just make a suicide attempt. We don't have, just euthanasia laws and suicide attempt for it just to be fine. Or, mishandling and chopping off body parts. We shouldn't be okay with that.
Yep.
And DeSantis had the morally correct and courageous position of, you know what, you may call me authoritarian, you know what, you may call me right-wing, I don't care.
Yeah.
This is a moral issue, and we're not going to allow that.
He stood on truth. Period.
And that was exactly what we needed in our Republican Party, because unfortunately there are too many Republicans who call themselves conservatives who are right there with Haley and right there with Christie.
Yep.
And that is a substantive issue. That was a good thing from those debates. It's like, okay, we finally have a good substantive part of this debate on this.
Right.
Because reveal how weak Christie is and how weak Haley is on this. So very good. So regarding that, it sounds like your big thing with DeSantis' campaign was his delivery.
Yep.
What were you thinking whenever he criticized Trump, first and foremost, for not being at the debate, and any other thing that he had to say about Trump? Did you think that was the right move or the wrong move?
No, I agree. Personally, I don't think it was a wrong move because, you're running against the guy. It's no hard feelings, but, shoot, if you and I were running, for president or just running for whatever, yeah, we might be friends outside of things and stuff like that, but I'm sorry if I think you're wrong on something and we're in a debate, I'm going to tell you, or at least say it, and it's no hard feelings outside, we can go and get lunch after or whatever, but yeah, we're both trying to get something, so I don't think it was the wrong move. Also, again, I think that Trump needed to be called out on some stuff as well.
You talked to him about Fauci. I think the first debate, DeSantis did mention you don't listen to Fauci. You bring him into the office and tell him he's fired.
Right.
Which, that was another substantive difference between DeSantis and Trump was the approach to COVID.
Right. And then, again, I agree with Christie as far as he should be here or on the debates. And the reason I think that is because of the fact that the same reason, Christie and Nikki Haley were totally wrong on the transgender issue. I wanted to hear that from Trump. I want to know that, and I think
regarding the trans issue.
Yeah, regarding the trans.
Well,
issue.
He's made Rumble videos talking. He kind of said in 2022 or maybe early 2023 what DeSantis said when he started running.
Right, and
he's made videos saying he's going to withdraw funding from schools that allow gender-intensive care for sex changes for children, and he's saying he's going to. You would agree with everything he's saying as far as that goes.
Okay,
I can send you the videos.
I agree with what he's saying. But counterpoint, the boycott should stop for Bud Light. And
I understand.
And that was a trans issue. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
I guess in Trump's mind, though, is a distinction between children and adults.
Yes and no.
And look, by the way, I agree with DeSantis' position and your position on this.
No,
but I'm saying is, if it's about policy, it sounds like Trump is going to do the same thing to protect children that DeSantis will.
Yeah, no. I would have liked to see him there just, again, because I think we also could have potentially got more substance from, and it possibly would have knocked Nikki Haley out completely because there is no substance there. So I just think that we possibly could have gotten more substance from both of them potentially. Sure. So that's one of the reasons. And it's not necessarily knocking Trump. It's just to get him to not give the political answers like he did, for example, on that the town hall and stuff like that.
You mean about abortion?
Yeah, about the abortion.
I got you.
We'll get a deal done with everybody. All right. Well, what does that look like? And I understand you can't give away the entire plan, et cetera, et cetera.
That's what I say.
Yeah, I understand that, but to an extent, we've also talked about how there needs to be at least a little bit of a roadmap kind of laid out for the American people so they know what that's at least going to look like to an extent, instead of just saying something.
Understood.
So that's
completely fair.
Yeah. So again, it's not knocking Trump.
This is where this is where I would say one thing that Trump struggles at is implementation. Like, okay, you're going to do this. How?
Right.
Okay, and sometimes he gives some level of detail. Like he said with the border, he says, I can just with executive orders just say we're telling ICE to stop doing, etc., or start doing their job, basically.
Right, exactly.
So sometimes he has a plan that's got details, and sometimes kind of like we're saying, it's not got the details that it would give. If he went into the details, it would put your and I's minds at rest. Is what we're kind of trying to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and that was one. That's a couple people have said Trump was really good at being like the CEO and not very good at the implementation of MAGA. And that's a very fair criticism.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that's a very fair criticism. Now, that being said, I hope that him coming into the second term will be better. I do think it would be, because I think that he's out for out for blood, not literally, but meaning he's actually going after the people that have tried to, really put him in jail and stuff.
Right.
Real quick, regarding DeSantis, we've kind of talked about the campaign. Do you think he has a political future regarding running for president again? 100%. I see it too.
He's the next guy up from MAGA.
I think so.
I mean, because even DeSantis said he was on Steve Days after he had said, "Hey, I'm not running anymore." He had said he had many people come up to him and said, "Hey, we love you, but we feel like we owe something to Trump, or just like right now it's Trump's time, et cetera, et cetera." So I truly believe that DeSantis is the next guy up as far as the MAGA goes. So yeah, I personally believe that.
I think he'll run in 2028. I definitely think he has a political future. I'll be watching that with interest too.
For sure.
I will be. Let me ask you this interesting question. This is kind of like the future of MAGA. Do you think, let's say Trump wins in November, and then he serves a term.
Yeah.
Then in 2028, obviously Trump's term limited, DeSantis announces he's going to run.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think President Trump endorses Ron DeSantis?
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think he might wait a while, but I think he probably eventually would.
Well, because the Ron DeSanctimonious stuff, I mean, they asked him about it. It's retired in his words.
Thank God.
Yeah, right. Right. I mean, all that stuff is retired. I don't
Trump know how from the same mind, Make America Great Again, which is great branding.
Yeah.
Then you turn around and say, I've got a label for you, DeSanctimonious. It's like, that came from the same guy, really?
Right, exactly.
That's not good.
So
it's not good.
I think Trump was not that he really had an issue with DeSantis. I think it was just to
win,
to get the competition out of the way. I mean, because he's really his only competition, or at the time was.
Pretty much.
Again, just get the competition out of the way. It wasn't, dude, no hard feelings. Again, I mean,
I hope, yeah.
Yeah. So I do think, Trump. I don't think he won't endorse him. I think. Yeah.
In other words, you don't think he's going to hold a grudge forever? So hopefully
I think that's over.
That would be good. Like I said, I think he might wait to see who else runs and then see how it plays out. One thing that Trump, I should say, DeSantis has going for him is that he did drop out and endorse Trump.
Yeah,
so
no,
Trump can
100%.
say, okay, well, thank you for that, and I'm going to endorse you back.
Yeah.
So regarding the future of MAGA, we've kind of gone into that. I think, though, that if Vivek runs in 2028, which is possible, they will both be fighting for the MAGA voters.
Oh yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
For sure. That's the new thing to fight for.
Probably. And then I want to ask you this about the general election before we end our episode. Regarding 2024 in November, it's Trump versus whoever else, whether it's Biden, whoever. Do you think Trump actually has a good shot, or do you think Trump loses?
So, unfortunately, I think he loses, and this is just by the fact by cheat or be it by, legitimacy, whatever. I think Trump loses, just because there's no way that they're going to let him be president again. They're too scared of this guy. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, and I hate to be that guy. And again, if they don't replace Biden, they're going to drag his corpse across the finish line. And part of that issue is I think that the Dems are really good at gearing up for things that the mail-in ballot stuff. They were geared up for that. They were prepping for that before it even. So
I hear you.
Yeah. So and the problem is the Republicans don't play defense or offense as far as getting lawyered up for this stuff. We knew this stuff was coming. Getting lawyered up before this stuff, is a problem, and I don't see Trump's team doing that.
Bingo.
So again, by cheat or legitimacy, I want Trump to win clearly, but I just don't think they're not going to let him. Is all I'm saying.
I don't know if I would go so far as to say he's not going to win.
Yeah, give me some optimism.
I will say, man, it's kind of going. Other than that one little bit, everything else that came after, I'm like, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because to your point, unfortunately, too much of the right is, oh well, these guys are doing this. Oh, what do we do now? Versus, like you're saying, preparing,
right,
planning ahead, getting ready.
Right.
And other than Trump saying, well, if we need to ban ballot harvesting where we can, and where we can't, we need to ballot harvest too.
Look at the polls.
Other than that, I don't really see preparation.
Yep.
Like, he is not. What I'm saying is, he says we need to have ballot harvesting in the states where we can't ban it. Where is the apparatus or the implementation system to do so?
Exactly.
I don't see it, unfortunately. Right. I wish that it were so, but I don't see that. And that's an unfortunate thing, because you're basically waiting for the left to do it, and if or when they do it, what are you going to do then?
Right.
I pray it doesn't happen. I pray that he does win. Now, there's an argument of, well, in 2020, at least the story we're told is more people voted than have ever voted before. Now, who they voted for is where you and I would differ with the mainstream media.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But regarding turnout, there's probably some truth to that, because it was a hot election.
Oh, yeah, no question.
George Floyd, the Summer of Love, so-called, and stuff like that, where a lot of people were like, you know what, we are passionate about politics this election cycle.
Oh, yeah, for
right?
Sure.
So there's that on the one hand. I don't know if 2024 is going to be such an election. Some people on the left might be a little complacent because, like I said earlier, Biden's not always delivering everything. Now, what would be actually potentially more dangerous to Trump is replacing Biden, because then you've got the splash of a new person entering the race, and a new face, or a familiar face in the case of Michelle Obama.
Right. So
that actually politically could be kind of hard. Plus, then they get to play identity politics of, oh, this is a woman, oh, this is a black person, oh, whatever. So anyway, that I have concerns, but if they run Biden, I think this is the thing. If they run Biden, I think Trump actually has a bigger shot.
He has a bigger
shot. If they run
just
someone else, that's where it gets more difficult. And it's difficult regardless, even if they do run Biden. I'm just saying, I think if they run Biden, it's harder to pull off, because I think some people will stay home.
And I guess for me,
it's a little harder to cheat at that situation, because then the number of ballots you have to make is a lot. Is even bigger, is what I'm trying to say.
I get that. But I guess the problem for me is it's not really Trump versus who. It's Trump versus the system.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And I mean, even though a lot of people at the system found out, I mean, even Democrats admit, there's like a lot of Democrats admit that, like, there's forces at work, outside of the presidency and all that type of stuff. It's not enough in my opinion, and I hate to be that pessimistic and stuff, but unfortunately, that's just what I see. So
I understand.
It's Trump versus the system, and I think the system wins in this case.
So we need to be done pretty soon because I actually got to do the fog on the whirlwind.
Yeah.
If that does happen in 2024, let's say the Democrat gets back in, what do we do?
Fight like hell.
I guess so.
And I mean, learn from your mistakes, but Republicans never do.
We'll be out here basically saying we told you guys it was going to happen,
right?
And
exactly.
Next time you guys need to lawyer up. Next time you need to do this.
We'll do the same stuff that every
and
MAGA guy does. We told you so. We told you so. Okay, but now what?
Yep.
So where do we go from we told you so to after that?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. But
agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, friend. Well, we need to end. This has been good. It was a long break, and so now a long episode of almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
So very good though. I enjoyed it very much. You guys, thank you so much for watching and following. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, if you're watching us for the first time, please do subscribe. And like I said earlier, this is a part 2, so watch part 1 for sure. We really are thankful for you guys viewing it. Comment because it helps the algorithm. New conservative channels have a harder time with the algorithm on YouTube and on Rumble. We'll be on Rumble as well. So definitely like, definitely comment, and don't forget to share it if you have other people watching your stuff or listening to your political opinions. So thank you everybody for watching Zoo Nation with us. My name is Josh.
I'm Nathan.
Everybody have a great evening and definitely take care.